So we waited 4 years for season 3 of Euphoria. 4 years. And this is what they came back with. Guys, I'm sorry. I was deliberating not making this video. Genuinely, I considered not doing it. This was probably the worst season of television I've ever seen. And I don't say that lightly. Season 3 is basically Sam Levinson's personal fetish project. And the thing is that me and Kenny JD, when season 1 came out, both said that we thought it was actually a little bit creepy and voyeuristic because the warning signs were for sure there. There was like a lot of excessive nudity. It seemed a little bit creepy. It was a little bit too much, but they really took it to a new level in season 3. But I think we dismissed it because in season 1 and 2, the show was beautiful colors and a lot of compelling characters that made up for the more concerning parts. But now in season 3, the emotional core is gone, the beautiful aesthetic is gone. You're just left with a show with like no soul that's purely there to be shocking and to be scandalous. Just like a really expensive OnlyFans montage. That's the only way I can put it, is that this was Sam Levinson using a very expensive project to live out his own personal fantasies just with a high-end budget. Like, I don't think you guys understand, I have never been so creeped out watching a season of television ever. So I watched Euphoria season 3. Let's get into how and why the show went so terribly downhill. Sam Levinson. This guy. I have a lot of problems with Sam Levinson, and it all started with one woman who you may have heard of called Petra Collins. The only thing saving season 1 and 2 of Euphoria and making it a good show was Petra Collins. People forget how much of Euphoria's visual identity in the art actually came from her art and her work. And according to Petra herself, she was basically pushed out of the project, and it was a very eerily similar thing in The Idol, which was another one of Sam Levinson's projects on HBO Max that crashed and burned, starring Lily Rose Depp, who played a tormented pop star who was struggling with fame, and it had a really good core initially, a lot of good ideas by Amy Seimetz with a whole unique perspective, a lot of the female gaze. But then when Sam Levinson came in, rewrote everything and took over it, it just became like a very sexualized project. So maybe Euphoria was never a good show. Maybe it just had really talented women around it, making it deep. And season 3 is where that falls apart because we just have Sam Levinson. No writer's room, just Sam Levinson, him leading the project, and this is what we end up with. And it's not like me to not finish a show. Like I'm making this video now and season 3 hasn't even finished, and that's because I'm just struggling so much with it. I genuinely have clocked out. I don't know if I'll make it through to the end. I'm really gonna try, but it's really not like me at all. I'm not a quitter. I very much am one of those people that I like to sit down, I watch a show, and I genuinely normally watch it all the way through to the end. Like, that's me. And if you're enjoying it, that's amazing. I know some people are, it's completely fine. Taste is a very subjective thing. But for me, this is just such a massive downgrade from season 1 and 2 that I just have to make this video. I have to talk about this with you guys because what the actual was that? What did I just watch? Genuinely, I feel dirty. I feel like I need to take a shower. I genuinely feel dirty. I feel like I should not have been watching that. The show just don't hit the same no more. It don't hit the same. And I was trying to figure out why, because I was thinking, is it the time jump? Is it the fact they're all a bit older now? But originally the show was quite good. It was quite solid, and it was set when all of these teenagers are in high school. They're very messy. They're doing very scandalous, messy teenage things. It starred Rue, who's a drug addict and kind of clocking out of life altogether. We had Cassie Howard and her best friend Maddie, who were two quite compelling characters. At the time, Maddie was dating Nate, who was very abusive towards her. We had some really cool side characters. And now in season 3, it's, yeah, not the same. Part of that is because we lost Angus Cloud, who was an incredible character and an incredible actor, and this will never not be a tragedy. Like, the show is not the same without him. But also we lost Labyrinth, who did the soundtrack and the music. It's not the same without it. We had Maddie arriving at Cassie and Nate's wedding with the like tropical paradise music playing. I thought it was a joke. Sounds like The Little Mermaid with Sebastian. And like, it's meant to be like a sexy scene, and we just have like tropical coconut paradise. Like, it's not the same.
We had to make a choice.
The whole production feels cursed. We even had the actress who plays Kat leaving the show because she wasn't happy with the direction her character was going, and she was quite important to the soul of the show, so now she's gone. So the whole thing is just feeling really empty. So that's what I'm going to preface with, is that all of these things have created a weird vibe, also because we're not like making it as visually stunning with the colors, the sparkles, the purple, the beautiful like glitter and stuff, and the glittery makeup, and like the sort of beautiful purple lights that we had in season 1 and 2, the cinematography. When you remove that, it just doesn't feel like quite as magical as it did before, because to be honest, the music and all that was a very important part of the identity of the show and what we knew it to be. It's part of what made it magical. But yeah, if I'm making a lot of jokes throughout this video, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna try and like kind of be like serious Serena and be professional, but it's just going to be really hard, so bear with me, because this was awful. I can't take it seriously for the life of me. It's really freaking bad. So if I'm like laughing a lot, if I'm making jokes, it's because I'm genuinely at the edge of my sanity. I'm trying to keep myself together. I really will try to make this video. I hope you guys are proud of me. You better be thanking me. Thank you, Serena, for sitting and watching this for you guys, because I was like, I can't do it no more. I can't do it no more. I was like, this feels wrong, man. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna stay calm. Okay. For the first 2 seasons, it was very much high school drama, and that's what people liked about it. All of the characters had their own unique struggle, which gave everybody someone to sympathize with or connect with. Along the way, it helped make stars like Zendaya, Sydney Sweeney, Jacob Elordi, massive superstars. So let's get into a recap of season 3 and everything wrong with it, episode by episode. I'm gonna try and keep myself together as best I can. Let's just finish this thing, because I made a lot of videos about Cassie, I made videos about Maddie, I made videos about my own personal recap of season 1 and 2, and I just think we should finish with a bang and at least conclude this series, because you guys have been with me on this journey for a while. I feel like I should do it justice, you know. Zendaya stars as Rue Bennett, who is still a young drug addict, although she's trying to be clean. But she definitely has not escaped the drug world. In fact, she is now smuggling drugs across the Mexican border by swallowing them. To be more specific, she has to shit them out again in the US. She has the help of Faye, who's feeling very sick. I'm not really going to get into the details. What I will say is that there is excessive amounts throughout this show of talking about poo, people shitting, seeing people shit. It's not classy. That's all I'm gonna say on that. It's not classy. Not that this ever claimed to be a classy show, but like now it's really not classy. But Rue's fortunes pick up when she's disbanded to this remote, beautiful house of a man called Alamo, who has a big southern accent, he has a cowboy hat, he has a gun, and he's very impressed by Rue. For some reason, Rue is like really flirty this entire season with everyone, so she's just dancing with a bunch of bikini-clad women, and I think he's impressed that she just like takes over. So he entertains her pitch to come and work for him instead of Laurie, because he can tell that maybe this girl could be useful for him. She delivers drugs for him, but they turn up tainted with fentanyl, and so he wonders like what's going on and how that happened. Like if she was in on it and why, and Rue is desperate to explain that she has no idea what happened, it wasn't her fault, etc. Rue is at this point becoming quite religious. She's almost praying to a higher power, believing in God and praying that everything will work out.
We were talking. I thought that, I don't know, maybe God brought us together.
God?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be working for Lori.
And in the end, he believes her. Immediately, I was very hooked on Rue's storyline. I think out of everyone this season, because everyone's storylines are terrible and they managed to sabotage every single character, as we'll see shortly, Rue is the most like herself, in my opinion. I think she has the best storyline. I mean, there's a ton of things wrong because Sam Levinson can't write for shit. Like the fact that we're not hearing anything about her sister, her mum. I don't know why, I just feel very disconnected from like her life because we used to see her sister a lot and stuff, and we get context that like she really messed things up with them, and because of her addiction and stuff, it like shattered her relationship with them, but I still would have liked to see her mum or her sister. It just doesn't feel the same without them, so it's a little bit disappointing. There's also a very awkward scene where she calls Fez in her car. Obviously, you know, we can't have the actor, unfortunately, on the phone with her. And I guess it's their way of trying to continue Fez's storyline by saying, oh, he's in jail now, to explain Angus Cloud's very, very tragic absence from the show. But it's just a really awkward scene. It just goes on for ages, and she's like in the car and we can't hear him reply, obviously. And it's just like awkward. I don't know why they kept it in.
How about this? If you do get out using fucking parkour or whatever the fuck, I'll come pick you up myself.
Anyway, we see Rue's best friend, Lexi, who lives a happy life in like a nice place that she pays for herself. She's just clueless to what Rue's going on. Rue's being incredibly vague about what she's doing for work because obviously she's not going to say she was just eating drugs, smuggling drugs. So she's being like very vague. And I'm like, come on, how could Lexi not notice? How were these two even friends? They don't have any scenes together. Lexi in general, terribly written character. She's just completely absent and not invested in as a whole at all. For some reason, Sam Levinson, I'll explain it later, is obsessed with Cassie, and so now everything in season 3 is completely dominated with Cassie and his weird obsession with Sydney Sweeney, to the point that we are actually genuinely not getting enough screen time with other characters like Lexi, who very sorely are missed and like need to be developed.
I come home and you're pretending to be a puppy dog.
I'm just creating content.
Anyway, Lexi is just obsessing and crashing a bit over Dylan Reed, who's the heartthrob on the nighttime soap that Patty produces. So she's like excited to be working in that industry. And her old friend Maddie, played by the iconic, the beautiful and the stunning Alexa Demie, works as his manager, which is a glamorous seeming job, but it entails like a lot of desk work and secretarial work. She's racking up bills that she is struggling to pay, but her boss is the one who takes the biggest cut of her commission. So if like they like go to an event basically, and Dylan Reed gets 50k to go and watch a movie at a premiere, his agent will take a big cut, and then there's only like a small amount left for Maddie, right? So even though she meets a lot of people, her Instagram's popping off, she's making a lot of great connections, it's not actually as much success as she would like. This immediately always just felt wrong to me, in the sense that Maddie was always meant to be a star. We heard in season 1 that her dream was to like be a star. She's very charismatic and very beautiful. And they showcase a lot of like people working in this kind of industry with talent, like Lexi's working with them. We see Cassie, as I'll get into later, is entering that industry. And it just doesn't make sense to me that out of all these people, Maddie is the one that isn't famous. Like I feel like if anyone wanted to be famous or a star, a model, whatever, I feel like realistically with her talent and her beauty, it would have been Maddie, and like that was Maddie's thing. So I don't get why she's like kind of on the sidelines doing like secretarial work and stuff, and like, you know, she's doing fine, but I guess it just surprised me a little bit because it wasn't what I imagined for her, because she is such a star, you know. And Alexa Demie, by the way, is the only reason why I'm continuing to watch this trash fire of a show, because honestly, she's really talented. And she does what she can with the role to make the script, which is god-awful, not seem so bad. Like she works really well with the script. No one knows, by the way, that Rue is working for a gangster. No one knows this. And Rue is playing a very dangerous game. Like to leave the lady she was working for, who was also dealing drugs, to go and work with this new guy, she's taking a huge risk. There's a lot of rivalry here, and nobody's here to protect her. Lexi's sister Cassie, played by Sydney Sweeney, has very unfortunately gone ahead and become engaged to Nate. They're still together. I don't know if you guys remember, but season 2 was already like noticeably worse than season 1 because Cassie was starting to kind of act more unhinged and doing things that Cassie in season 1 wouldn't have done, and it all started going downhill very fast when she was going out with Nate. But we can really see now that officially Sam Levinson genuinely actually wants to do career suicide at this point. Like Sam Levinson does not want to succeed at this life. He's determined to just crash and burn, apparently, because I've never seen someone like sabotage as much of a character as Cassie has been sabotaged. Like Cassie is, out of everyone, out of all of them, completely unrecognizable. Maddie's still somewhat recognizable. She has this little beef where she's getting a bit too involved and still being cut up and vengeful over something that happened years ago, and rather than moving on, which is a bit immature. But like Cassie is a whole new level. Like she is completely a shattered fragment, a shell really of her former self. Cassie's sabotage, character assassination really is the word for it, is the most evident here, because what the fuck, Sam Levinson, you and I need to have a discussion. You are so fucking creepy, needs to go to therapy, in my opinion. What the fuck? Because he is basically using this entire project of season 3 to just show Sydney Sweeney, who plays Cassie, in vicariously gross and provocative shots, positions, any excuse to show her naked. I'm all for being naked, by the way. I think it's a great storytelling mechanism, but the whole point is that it's meant to push the narrative forward. It's meant to serve some sort of narrative purpose, you know? But they're just showing her naked whenever and wherever, and it just, I genuinely thought that this was like their way of partnering up to launch Sydney Sweeney's OnlyFans career. Like that's what it seems like. It's like a promotional launch. I mean, how much is she getting paid? You could not pay me. You couldn't pay. Like, I thought she must be getting paid like $10 million per episode, because that is the only amount of money that could remotely justify like the lack of dignity and the humiliation. She's not getting paid nearly that. God help her. God help her and God help us all, because it's just insane. Like it's actually, it's so gross. It's so gross. I don't want to see that. No one wants that. Like, it was always kind of like bait, I think, to try and like get men to watch it by casting sexy people and having nudity, but like they couldn't be more explicit about it now, that that's kind of what this show is. It just feels like one really long, high budget soft porn film. Like, I'm sorry someone had to say it. It does not feel like actual television anymore. It's weird. Like, I understand Cassie's character was rooted in her sexuality, so showing a little bit of something or her in a bra kind of makes sense. But when it's just continual like this, like where I'm fully seeing her like topless and stuff, or seeing her butt, come on. We all know what you're doing. And honestly, it's very sad when you have a character who is the main one in the cast with like a curvier frame, and you completely reduce her to her sexuality. Like, it's to literally like the big boob, dumb, blonde cliche. Like, I personally find it very sad and like a step backwards that we just continue to sexualize women like this. I mean, I don't know how she feels about it. I certainly would not be able to do those scenes, because they're just embarrassing. And like, that's the thing too, is that she's not even like maintaining the same personality, at least, that she had in season 1 and 2. She's become dumb as rocks, stupid, and kind of like emotionally vague. Like, she's no longer very good at like reading the room, or like, and everyone's making fun of her for being stupid. She just doesn't seem like herself anymore. Very vapid, and she was always a little vapid, but like, it's really gotten so much worse. I was a little bit sad too, because I kind of hoped that her and Maddie would work through their friendship issues to at least maintain some sense of a core female solidarity thing, but like, it's just never, they're not doing that. So that's also kind of lost opportunity there to at least fix their friendship. Aside from it being disgusting, Cassie's core character arc doesn't make sense anymore. Like, it doesn't make sense for her character. She's suddenly obsessed with like wanting to become famous and doing whatever it takes to get into the Hollywood scene. And they're acting like this was always the case, but since when? Like, Cassie's core arc in season 1 and 2 was about codependency, childhood abandonment, and just wanting desperately to gain approval and to be loved. It wasn't about wanting to break into the Hollywood scene and be a famous actress or model or OnlyFans star or anything like that. This was never Cassie's main ambition. Like, so this pipeline is not at all clear to me as to how that happened. But a majority of this is now about her like wanting to do OnlyFans to pay for her wedding because she wants 50K worth of flowers. And so this is her main thing, is like, I want to be able to pay for my wedding. I want to do OnlyFans. And she's like obsessed with this, and we progressively see as these episodes carry on, Sydney Sweeney, who plays Cassie, like posing in various ways, completely naked, like just like holding a baseball bat or something to cover herself, and like doing various forms of like OnlyFans and things, and Maddie is gonna like help her like launch it. So they're like practicing together, filming her and stuff, and various provocative poses. I'm talking like screaming, moaning erotically, like it's just really embarrassing. And these montages extend so far on. The one like moment I checked out on was in the very latest episode, which just dropped. I think it's like episode 4, I don't know, but Cassie wants to be in this montage in like a dream sequence where she's like a female Godzilla. And I'm all for like showing that she's getting a bit too big for her boots, but it's like the scene carries on for like 8 minutes of her being a female Godzilla stomping around the city. Sam Levinson actually paid people to build the set for that and to construct the little city. Like, they put a lot of time and money into it. It was expensive and time consuming to make for a scene that again gave nothing to the plot and went on for way too long. She's taking up all the screen time, dominating, where there should be maybe other actors being shown, other characters, of her, yeah, stomping around in this kind of provocative outfit as per usual, and then like flashing herself and like pressing her boobs to the window and breaking the glass, like just her tits, like, pooh! Pooh! And like, I'm not even gonna get into it, but I think they had to model some sort of massive like wax version of her boobs, which obviously Sam Levinson 100% he wants to keep it for himself after, so he wanted to like, what is going on? Like, I'm sorry, no one made you do that, no one wanted that. Like, it could have been like a 30-second, 1-minute scene for sure, but it just went on for so long. And this is like the kind of thing that she's getting up to, is like trying to experiment with various like provocative content, and Maddie being like her business manager and like filming her. Maddie 100% has shady intentions here and wants to like screw her over and exact her revenge, because how is Maddie benefiting from this? Come on. But you may be wondering, how on earth is it possible that she can be doing all this and Nate isn't angry? Because Nate, as you remember from earlier seasons, was a very manipulative, abusive jerk. And the answer is that Nate is the second most assassinated character over after Cassie, because for some reason he's not even that bothered by her doing OnlyFans. I mean, he's annoyed for sure. He's sad and annoyed, but like the old Nate would not have done that. The old Nate would have beaten her up, or would have like done something really nasty to her, because he was a very abusive person, and he would have exacted the power in the relationship 100%. But Cassie now is just doing like whatever she wants. He has a very feeble protest. Nate is now like a completely useless and pathetic character. Like, he used to be, and everyone's saying it's realistic. Guys, it's not sorry, it's just character assassination. It makes no sense for him. Like, in season 1, he used to be really clever too. Like, he wasn't dumb. He was a very smart person. Like, he thought Maddie was cheating on him, and he literally tracked down the guy to get him beat up. Like, he was smart, he was street savvy, he was always 5 steps ahead of everyone. Everyone was scared of him. And now he's just really dumb. Like, he's really dumb. In fact, he owes some guys like $1 million due to his own bad decision making, and he can't seem to like think of a way to kind of get the money back to pay them back. Like, he's just useless. A majority of his scenes are now jumping around and being so excited when Cassie sends him a check, like, oh my god, she sent me a check, I'm so grateful, keep going honey. So at some point he starts egging on the OnlyFans career, because he's just like, bring home that milk mama, like bring home that cash, bring home that dosh, because he has no idea. So he's just now banking on Cassie. And it was so funny because Cassie found out that he was like $1 million in debt after the wedding, and she was like, right, I'm starting a business. And she was like, see you later, I'm gonna go work. He was like, where are you going? She was like, to work. And that's it. She took her stuff and she was like, I'm gonna make you this $1 million on OnlyFans. Let's get that grind going. What what are you talking about? And the worst thing is that Nate's just like, okay, like he's completely docile. He's like, sure. And it's just a majority of his scenes is just him getting beat up now by these guys that are angry because he owes them money. Like it's just him getting beat up. He's so pathetic now. This is not the Nate that I knew. Like the old Nate would never. Like he's just such a loser now. And the dumbest thing is that he sends her up to LA or wherever she goes, where all the stars are. She can network, she can like meet the big stars, be featured in their content. And I was like, why isn't he coming with her? Like, first of all, he's unsafe at home alone without her there, 100%, like, because these guys are after him because he owes them money. Second of all, why doesn't he come with her? Like, they're married now. He can come with her to wherever she wants to go. They can even film the spicy content together. So that, you know, because that's the sort of thing probably Nate would want to do, is like at least be with her.
He's buzzing around.
And also, I just have to say this. I hate the direction this story has taken and this show in general, where we're suddenly completely fixated on meeting the TikTokers, meeting the TikTok house people, networking with the celebs, and this sudden obsession with like Hollywood and becoming stars. Like, to me, it makes absolutely no sense that the show would go down this very like vapid direction where we're spending a lot of time in like this industry, and like I just personally don't like it. I find it really dumb. Like Maddie starts wanting to pivot her own business as like a manager where she can take a larger commission, and she starts coaching this other girl and like filming her spicy OnlyFans content. And I was like, why are we now talking about OnlyFans? Why? Like, it's just weird to me. Like I don't get it. And something I find very disturbing, actually, that I don't see many people talking about, is that now it just feels like the entire show is around like OnlyFans and sexuality. Like, they've grown up, they've become adults, and the implication is that none of these women can be successful or earning proper money unless they're involved in some kind of sex work. Like, is this how Sam Levinson sees women? Because to me, this is so extremely degrading. Like, we have Cassie from episode 1 wanting to kind of get into this business. We have Maddie, who's basically a pimp, coaching people and filming them for their you know, OnlyFans or whatever it is. And then we have, you know, Rue doing drugs, selling drugs, whatever. And then I thought, okay, well, at least we have Jules. That's great. So maybe Jules will just be an artist and she'll be like, you know, doing her art. Like, that would be pretty cool. Nope. Jules is a high-end escort, and she's just going on various dates, and now we have to watch various scenes of her going out with random gross men who want to sleep with her. I'm like, are we so for real right now? And she's like, wow, I never knew you could make so much money. It's the money of my dreams. I'm like, ew, can no one make a respectable income these days? I feel like Lexi is the only normal one in this entire cast at this point. Like, this is insane.
But the sugar baby thing is a little weird, right?
Every girl I meet's a sugar baby. It's not that weird.
Yeah, but you don't do it.
And the only reason I'm still watching at this point is for Maddie and for Rue, because they're the only two characters that have some level of like empathy, where I like care about them a little bit and I like want the best for them, and I'm like, you know, I'm somewhat invested in their storyline. You know what I mean? Nate and Cassie in episode 1 are having this discussion around her wanting a fancy wedding with 50K worth on flowers. Most awkward scene I've ever seen. Most awkward scene. The acting, what happened? She's like, well, I want flowers. And he's like, no. And she's like, well, then I guess we have a really big problem. Like, it's so bad. Like, and for some reason, there's like 50 to 100 candles around them as they're having dinner and they're living in this really weird house. I'm like, if he's having financial problems, sell the house. It's huge. Sell it. What do you mean you're gonna sit there and wait to be beaten up? Sell the house, sell this ridiculous car. Like, the car he got out of was ridiculous. Sell it. Like, what are you doing? And like, I swear they used to be able to act and they had quite a lot of chemistry, those two in season 2. It's gone now. It's so awkward. I don't know why these two are even engaged. Like, gross. It was the same thing like when we got to the wedding, is Cassie's just going on and on about like, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be poor. And she's like obsessed with like the wedding and 50K's worth of flowers. And she's saying things to Nate at the wedding like, I want a man. Men are meant to provide. You're not a man. You're not a man. And I'm like, it's just, again, this is so different to the Cassie I knew. Like, Cassie for sure was like, you know, very competitive with Maddie, and she was a little superficial, but she wasn't like obsessed with money like this and like gender roles and men need to provide, and like it was just really. As we get into episode 1, we see that Cassie is still very much intent on doing this OnlyFans thing to pay for the wedding, because it hasn't happened yet. That was just a side note about the wedding, but she wants to film herself as a dog in like lingerie, which seemed like a very uncomfortable meta commentary on Sydney Sweeney launching her own lingerie line, which by the way doesn't even go plus a triple D, so I don't know what the point of that was. I checked. It's not even a diverse lingerie line, like worst brand marketing ever, whatever, not the point. But that is weird though, right? It doesn't matter. Then she is like doing the dog thing, which is very degrading. Again, couldn't pay me to do that. Embarrassing as fuck. And then she dressed up as like with ice cream going down her chest, like having ice cream. And then it was like as a baby, like literally as a baby with like a binky in her mouth and like spreading her legs. Really gross. Whose idea was that? Probably Sam's. Weird. And yeah, she just seems completely fine with all that, loving it. Everything has now become completely farcical and yeah, honestly ridiculous. I feel like I get what Sam Levinson's doing. I feel like he's trying to be kind of edgy and shocking. Like he's trying to like be provocative and dangerous, like Quentin Tarantino, like kind of shocking, but he's just going about it completely the wrong way. Then we get into episode 2 and we see that Rue has to deal with the consequences of the fallout from the fentanyl thing in a pretty hard way, because someone actually like died on it. So, you know, it was a pretty big mistake that happened. There was like a fentanyl overdose actually of one of the women at the party the night before. Faye and her boyfriend hadn't really cleaned the scale properly, which led to the contamination basically. So Rue is still working with this guy, this creepy guy, and she's promoted to like help him at this strip club and basically keep the girls comfortable, check in on them and do some tasks for him. Rue is again for some reason incredibly flirty, and she starts sleeping with Angel, who's one of the strippers at the club. Angel seems very much like get in, get out, get the money and leave. And by far episode 2 was the best out of all of them, because Angel was the best side character. Her storyline was so compelling. I loved how feisty and fiery and how passionate she was. I loved everything about her. I thought her and Rue were so good together, and I'm still beyond confused as to why they're pushing Rue and Jules when this was like this terrible high school relationship that didn't even last. Because Rue and this girl are really cute together, honestly. And Angel was like so beautiful and such a bomb character, an amazing actress who gave her so much emotional depth and everything. But eventually, as they're kind of seeing each other romantically, Rue has to break the news to her that Angel's good friend actually died from the fentanyl overdose, because Angel's really confused as to where her friend is, and it's, you know, she's upset by it. And after Rue tells that news, Angel is very much acting out. She's not herself anymore. She's very distressed, and it's affecting her performance. It's affecting the money she's bringing in. And so, yeah, she's getting upset.
She OD'd.
No. No. No.
Fentanyl.
Alamo says, okay, her behavior's spiraling. I need to like hook her up with a rehab center because she's getting into drugs, she's smoking all this, and you know, her behavior's off basically. He's like, I've got some free rehab, I'll pay for it. Immediately weird. You don't really do that with your, you know, with people who work for your strip club. You don't set them up with rehab. Very odd. And when Rue drops her off, no one's really there. The receptionist has really dirty fingernails. There's no paperwork. There's a van waiting outside. I'm sure you can like know where this is going. I'm naive as hell, by the way. I'm naive because I thought that Alamo was seriously like trying to help, and I was like, oh, what a sweetie. Like, I knew he had a heart of gold underneath. It's so nice of him to help one of his girls. Like, what a good man. And then I still didn't really get what was going on when I saw the dirty reception and the weird receptionist. And I was like, that's weird. And eventually it clicked when I saw like Alamo's pigs and stuff in the, yeah, he has all these pigs, and I was like, wait, is that for eating people? Like, are they gonna eat people. And then I eventually tracked that this is more of a trafficking ring than a strip club. But to be fair, I mean, it seemed like Rue was equally naive, and she realized this at the same time, because this happens in like the next episode and later, where she has these little interactions where she realizes that maybe a lot of the women at this club are not working here consensually at all, or they're forced into it, or this is some kind of like trafficking ring. Because at this point, when she drops Angel off at rehab, Angel just disappears, and we still, on episode 4, haven't heard anything about what happened to her. And I very, very strongly believe that she's been trafficked, or that something really bad had happened to her, basically, is what I think. Rue is realizing that life is too short, and for some reason she chooses to pay a visit to Jules, who is somehow an even worse character than she was before, if that's even possible. Like, seriously, I don't know how it's possible. Jules is like a sugar baby now, living with this super rich guy, for some reason equally arrogant and selfish as she was. Basically, you know how she cheated on Rue. She's still very much the same person, very much like obsessed with herself. She's a really annoying character now more than ever. Maddie and Cassie reconnect in this episode as well. It's clear that Maddie wants to exact revenge on her, but Cassie is too stupid to notice. For some reason in this episode, a pig also poos live on camera. Again, I don't know why. But by the end of the episode, we still hadn't heard any news regarding Angel, and I started to get really nervous and also sad, because she was one of my favorite characters, and I feel like we should have expanded on her more. Then we have season 3, episode 3, which was probably my favorite out of all of them, because Cassie and Nate tie the knot, and it was just the most hilariously bad wedding I've ever seen, that it kind of made me love it. Like, they had the most awkward wedding dance I've ever seen in my entire life. The whole thing was awful. Like, the wedding was really, really bad, and Cassie was saying she didn't want a tacky wedding, and it ended up being like the tackiest, worst wedding you've ever seen. Like, truly, everything went wrong. The guy who wanted to take money from Nate showed up at the wedding and threatened him. The wedding ended with him getting beat up. Like, the whole thing was a disaster. Cassie spent so much on the wedding and couldn't even find a dress that fit. Like, it's a disaster.
I used to be your husband's friend. I'm gonna become his worst fucking nightmare.
And I felt so bad for Maddie, because she's sitting there at the wedding watching her ex-best friend marry her ex-abusive boyfriend, and apparently no one seems to care, and it's just awful. For some reason, everyone dresses half naked to the wedding, which I guess is the thing now. Like, both Jules and Maddie look naked, but do what you will. Things are really escalating with the drugs and this rivalry between Rue's old boss and her new boss. That's, again, the only storyline that I'm remotely like invested in and actually paying attention to at this point. Everything else is terrible, but I am enjoying Rue's storyline.
You're not gonna do anything fucking crazy, are you?
Define crazy.
The only character I really like at this point is Cal. I feel like Eric Dane, God bless him, may he rest in peace, plays him so well, and he's just, even when he was really sick filming this, really ill, the actor himself, he still managed to play this character of Cal really well. I also found his interactions between him and Nate very, very funny. It was basically the only part of the season I liked, when he was talking with Nate about him and his mistakes he made in the past, and he said that he was just like a sex addict, like that he wasn't like gay, but he was just very addicted to sex. And Nate was like, bro, like, you were gay, like you were like effing men, like, well, I don't know, just really funny. And Cal was like, no, I just had a problem, and like, just their interactions are really funny to me. He also apologizes to Jules for basically filming her and just everything that happened between them in general in like season 1, which was kind of a nice way to wrap up that storyline. And yeah, I love Cal, love Eric Dane, just love him so much. I think he did a great job in this role. But then for some reason, after Jules speaks to Cal and they wrap that up, she has a little chat to his son Nate, who says, you love who you love. Even though he's marrying Cassie, he has this interaction with Jules. He kind of seems in love with Jules. No idea what's going on. Like, I thought that finished a long time ago in season 1, but it seems like who he still wants is Jules. I'm like, at this point, what is the point of the storyline? Like, nothing's ever gonna happen between them. So like, why am I still getting the feeling that he really wants Jules? I don't know. We obviously have the wedding ending really badly, because Cassie finds out that Nate owes these men a lot of money, and just hasn't told her. And since these two can't resolve anything in their relationship, he still tries to act like they can have the perfect end to their wedding, even though it's been genuinely like terrible. But then at the end of the wedding, when they get home, the guys are waiting for him and they beat Nate up. The violence is gruesome, but also funny. Like, it was kind of cool. Then we get into Euphoria season 3, episode 4, The Fairy Tale's Over, which is basically what Cassie tells Nate, is that the fairy tale's over, you've been beat up, and so I need to be the main breadwinner now, and I need to get to work and pay back your debt myself.
How much do you owe this guy?
Somewhere between a little and a lot.
What's the number?
And, you know, it depends on the interest, you know, how quickly we can
What's
pay
the
this guy.
number, Nate?
You know, $1 million-ish.
Rue gets in big trouble with the police. They bring her in and the DEA knows that she knows Laurie, who was her old like drug dealer person she worked with. And they said that they know that she's been to Mexico and they have photo evidence of her talking to a cartel member. And Rue does her best to lie her way out of the situation. She's like, no, I would never smuggle drugs from Mexico to the US. But they're like, look, you could face 20 years to like lifelong in prison if you don't tell us the truth or at least dob in who you're working for.
Me? In Mexico?
So they swap out the pills, the drugs for sugar pills and laxatives, and they tell Rue that she needs to go undercover. And so Rue decides to become a snitch. And so she's going to keep working at the strip club, doing all the things she's usually doing, seeing what's happening with the drugs, except that she's going to report from the inside, right? And no one will know what she's doing to basically avoid spending her life in prison, which again was the only narrative or the only storyline that I remotely found like interesting out of all the characters. She meets this new dancer called Kitty, played by Anna Van Patten, who again clearly doesn't want to be there, is very uncomfortable with the whole thing. And Rue is like trying to, without raising any alarms, basically ask Kitty if she's okay and if she wants to be there, because at this point she knows that this place is not just your average like strip club, but that something really weird is going on. Like, it's one thing to work at a strip club and to dance or to not wear much or to whatever, to do what's required for the job and then go home. But for women to be there who are disappearing or who are doing things that they don't want to do, or as Rue sees in this episode, sleeping with people or doing sexual things with people that they don't want to do those things with and like being forced into it, is a completely different story. The police installed like an app on Rue's phone pretending to be her mum, but she can like call them if she needs to, and so they can track where she's going, who she's talking to, and she's meant to like voice record and stuff when she's in the club to send it back to them. So Rue is under a lot of pressure because she doesn't want to get caught.
Who knows if the DEA would even protect me?
At this point, I have a really bad feeling for Rue that things are going to go really bad. I always felt like Rue's storyline could end up in a really dark way, and I'm just very scared for her because I don't think this is going to end well for her. Maddie and Cassie are like giving each other makeovers and stuff, and then they go to Hollywood to be all fabulous and be stars. I'm completely done with this storyline at this point. And then we head over to Lexi's studio. She's offering Jules a work opportunity because she wants to commission Jules to make a painting for LA Nights, which gets 7 million viewers a week. And she gave her some guidelines, quoting like another painting which was like of a picnic, like for reference for Jules to know like what the vibe is they're going for. And that the character's inspired by George Seurat, so she wants Jules' take on something in that vein. Presented with a blank canvas, Jules gets to work and paints something very like erotic with like a lot of very naked people, a lot of nudity, and that's completely not like the task or what Lexi wanted. Everyone's really horrified by the work. Actually, Lexi's boss is mad at her and Jules can't fix it in time. I feel so bad for Lexi. Like, literally, Jules is the worst. She even makes excuses and she's like, oh, I feel like my creativity is being like restricted and there's a lot of limitations on this project. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you literally did something without checking that you knew would maybe be a little bit provocative or not what they wanted, and you still did it. Like, she's so annoying. Like, Jules is by far easily now the most annoying character in season 3. She even like sees Rue later and she's like being all annoying and complaining to Rue like, oh, have you ever been in love before? And like, who have you loved? And like, oh, okay, I thought you wanted me. Like, you want me, don't you? And she's like wanting attention from Rue. She's like the biggest attention seeker ever. Like, she's still like seeing this high-end guy and she's being his sugar baby, but then she's inviting Rue around to his place, and I'm like, what is this?
I'm just like struggling with how many limitations there are.
The only limitation is we have to get rid of the penises.
Okay, but the breasts are okay.
Let's just get rid of the nudity in general.
Then we get into Euphoria season 3 episode 5, which The reason why I'm describing this one is because this was the one where I officially was done with Euphoria season 3. This was the moment where, yes, before I was seeing some issues, but there were like some good parts with Angel and with Rue's storyline, enough to keep me invested. But this was the point where I officially checked out and I was like, okay, Euphoria season 3 is officially a bad show. Like, it's a bad show. The episode opens with Cassie licking her toes, and we see, because she's been in Hollywood the episode prior, networking, mingling, she's somehow miraculously grown a huge following overnight, and it's growing by the day. So she's like Venmoing Nate money. Maddie is working Cassie to the bone. She's waking her up early, setting the alarm, and they're filming a ton of content together. ASMR of her boobs rubbing together, erotic humiliation videos, selling Cassie's used underwear. I mean, at this point, like, Sam Levinson isn't even trying to be discreet about it. Like, he's just happy. For some reason, Nate is now totally supportive of this work. He's like, bring home the bacon, baby. And I'm like, okay, cool. Nate now is useless, apparently. And what's even worse is Cassie's now getting on a series of podcasts to basically promote edgy manosphere talking points, like to say what she thinks men want to hear, to appeal to them. And she's talking about how, you know, men have it so hard these days and blah, blah, blah. She said American men are treated like second-class citizens, to a stunned Trisha Paytas, who for some reason is on the show now. And she said if a man says he wants a girl who can cook or clean, he might as well be screaming the N-word. What? What, like, why would you even, like, cut that out? And then a male podcast host says to her, you sound like a Democrat. And Cassie says, I'm not. What? What? Oh. And then Maddie says, you know what's funny is when you say this stuff, the angrier these idiots get, the more money you make. So she's talking about basically the rage bait that they're using, like the way that they're making people angry, even if they don't respond well to it or to the podcast, it still makes Cassie more money. And at this point, it really does start to seem like a very weird meta commentary on Sydney Sweeney and like her real life kind of branding, how she presents herself and who she is as a person.
Natural.
Then we have again the sequence I mentioned of Cassie as like this giantess, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman style, like Godzilla figure stomping around the city. That was really weird. Like, that scene did not need to be there at all. Maddie gets Cassie an audition for LA Nights, and Cassie's really like excited to do this audition. Cassie, for some reason, chooses to embarrass herself and do a monologue on Shakespeare, and everyone obviously watching it is quietly laughing at her and thinking she's just like a joke, which she is.
Who does Shakespeare?
Sadly, no one.
Rather on nihilist mud lay me stark naked and let the waterflies blow me into abhorring.
At this point, she's no longer a good character. She's a completely fragmented, as I said, version of herself without any of the same kind of depth in season 1. Like, yes, season 1, she was a pick-me for sure. She was annoying, but she was relatable in a way about what it's like to be an insecure teenage girl, doing crazy things you're not comfortable with, to be loved, to get approval from men, being a little male-centered. But again, it was all like somewhat relatable and grounded in something we may have all have done or experienced in some capacity. And she still had a good friendship with Maddie, and there were a lot of things about her to like you could still empathize with her as a character. She wasn't like a hateable character at all. I mean, I personally really liked her, and it was really sad to see how far she's fallen and that there's really nothing to root for or connect with in Cassie anymore. She doesn't even have like a normal relationship with Lexi anymore. Like, she can't even take responsibility when Lexi's mad at her about how she behaved during her audition. Like, there's just nothing in her anymore. I really don't think that Sam Levinson understands how to write female characters. And like when he does, like when he writes Sydney Sweeney's character, he's just like obsessed with her in a kind of weird way where it's like way too much, and like hasn't invested in Maddie at all, by the way. Like, all this stuff I'm describing of Maddie being a pimp and stuff is just like kind of weird. Like, she seems to have this revenge agenda with Cassie, or a way she wants to hurt her. We haven't really seen exactly what that is. We know that she's always been the kind of person to bite back. She's always been a more aggressive and vengeful person, but she's kind of lying low and doing it in a more discreet way in order to get back at Cassie. But like, she's barely had any interaction with Nate. We haven't seen any scene with her and Nate, and honestly, I do feel like Maddie's still lacking a bit of development. We check in with Jules. She's still living her glamorous life being a sugar baby for some reason. And Jules brings up Rue's former intimacy issues from when, like, way back. This was like high school. And that Rue never really wanted to like do anything like sexual, like it was difficult to. And then Jules presses Rue on what she wants from her, like why Rue is coming around so much. And she says, you come over here, Rue, you lie around, you look at me like you have something to say, but you never say it. I feel like I'm back in high school. You want me? Make me yours, like kiss me. What? What? Like Jules is now like victimizing herself? Like, I don't know, she's so fucking annoying. I can't stand. In this episode gets beat up again. Like he's dancing around the house like, hola, woo, waiting for Cassie's money to come through. And so he doesn't notice a man crash through his window with a baseball bat and pull off his toe again, and I think he cuts off a finger too as well. The main point of this episode that was the most worrying is that Alamo seems to find out that Rue's been going undercover, that she's been lying about some things, and some things in her story are not adding up. Like when Laurie's crew came in, for some reason, Rue didn't immediately recognize their voices, which is weird because she knows their voices. So when they came in like an episode or two prior, she should have immediately known that it was them, and she didn't. So definitely like he starts to become suspicious. And also someone had overheard Rue's conversation with one of the girls, Kitty, asking Kitty if she was okay and if she was being forced to work there. And so all of that together started to corroborate that Rue is basically a snitch, and you know, she can't be trusted and she's not doing her job normally. She's like a spy. And so they decide to kill her. We don't know yet whether they have or whether they succeeded or not, but that's kind of how the episode ended. And that's officially also the same episode where I stopped watching and kind of checked out. Not so much because of, like, as I said, Rue's storyline, which was interesting, but it was more so Jules just being incredibly annoying, Nate again being completely unrecognizable and turning into like this loser wimp, but then really like the gratuitous kind of sexualization of everything was just like way too much. Like there was quite a lot of it in season 1 and 2, but it was somewhat related to the storyline in a way, like Cassie's nudes being leaked, for example. So we saw the nudes and they were leaked, like, you know, it kind of was somewhat relevant to the story. But yeah, now it's just clearly just Sam Levinson having a really good time and trying to just sexualize everything for no reason, and so it's no longer really like enjoyable to watch. I just felt kind of creepy. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of a shame. It used to be a good show. There was already elements there of voyeurism and excessive shock value, for sure. Spectacle and like an obsession on violence and spectacle rather than actual storyline, but it's more apparent now than ever, especially with sabotaging and ruining every single character, especially like the dehumanization of characters like Cassie. It just becomes really, really difficult to kind of root for anybody. Early on, for sure, there was something special about early Euphoria. As I said, there was somebody that you could connect to. There was a sense of a real threat, because Nate himself as a character was such a threat to women and everybody in general. And there was a little bit of humanity and some kind of emotion, you know, in characters like Jules and Cassie. There was quite a lot of emotion, especially around Rue not being able to escape her addiction and it ruining her relationships with her family. Like there was something raw and emotional to hold on to, and now it really feels like that there's nothing left, and the show at this point is like dragging its feet to the finish line. So let me know what you guys think. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video.